guys, and welcome back. Today I want to talk about something that I feel like a lot of women struggle with, but we never really mention it because in some ways it's kind of seen as normal, and that is postpartum hair loss. I haven't gone through this personally, but I feel like it's just been kind of normalized. You know, you have a baby and then there's going to be the postpartum hair loss. You just have to go through it. There are so many things that people just don't mention, and I'm kind of gonna go through it and explain how should postpartum hair loss be, how long should it take, and is there something you can do about it. First off, to kind of understand why this happens is through your pregnancy, obviously your estrogen hormones are going to be a little higher than usual. That's supposed to happen. And during this time, you'll probably notice your hair is growing more, you're getting more hair, your hair is thicker, it's better than it's ever been. Also, you're probably taking your vitamins really consistently, so that obviously helps as well. Now, the birth happens, and all of a sudden, a few months later, you realize I'm losing all of my hair. To a certain point, it's normal, because during the pregnancy, you got some hair that you usually don't have. During your pregnancy, most of your hair was in its growing phase. After the pregnancy, you all of a sudden realize my hair is falling out. And to a certain point, it's normal. The hair loss should start about 2 to 3 months after the pregnancy, which means your kid will probably be 2 to 3 months old. And then it should stop after 2 to 3 months. So by that time, your kid is about 5 to 6 months old. The times are very different on each person, but that's just an estimate. Now, the main question for that is, if it does run within the normal timeline, is there something you can do about it? Not necessarily, but you can possibly minimize it a little with some topical treatments, but it is gonna go through that phase once. The issue is if the hair loss is lasting much longer than the 3 months, or possibly it's gotten to the point where you're noticing like your ponytail has gotten a lot thinner than it was even before the pregnancy, or overall your scalp, like the scalp is kind of showing throughout the hair. At that point, you need to seek help. Sometimes the hair loss can be delayed a little as well, because it depends on how long you're going to be breastfeeding your baby. So with some women, it won't start until 3 months after having stopped to breastfeed your baby. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but that's kind of the timeline it is. Why? Because at that point, your body is going through those hormonal changes. Now, one mistake that a lot of women do is they have the baby and they stop taking all vitamins because, well, you just had the baby, so why continue to take it? And that's actually one of the most important parts. I always suggest to continue taking your prenatal vitamins, whatever your doctor prescribed you, whatever you were on, until after you stop breastfeeding the baby, and then use it another month or so. Why? Because you're giving all your nutrients to your new child, and not to mention your body just went through a huge thing. It's going to be a huge change hormonally, it's going to be emotionally, and there's just so many things going on. You need to protect your body from that. And the other thing is that, well, obviously the vitamins, sometimes they won't be enough. Sometimes, you're taking the vitamins as long as you should, and then you still feel that the hair loss is going on a lot longer than it should. And at that point, there may be an underlying cause to it. So because of the pregnancy, a lot of times women can obviously get iron, ferritin, or B12 deficiency, sometimes even vitamin D. Like, all these vitamin deficiencies can happen. So it's important to test them and make sure they're right. I would obviously suggest you see a professional about this, not just go and test and then evaluate yourself. Well, mainly because as far as hair goes, you actually want the vitamins to a certain level that might be considered normal body-wise, but for your hair, you need it a bit higher. That's the first step. Now, if you've done that and there's nothing abnormal, everything seems fine, sometimes through the hair loss you get postpartum, that hair loss can be continued by other things that have been triggered. That was a long sentence. I'm not sure if that's going to make sense, but things like stress, things like hormonal imbalances, things like the way you're eating, the way you're sleeping, because obviously having a new baby, you probably won't get the sleep you usually do, or even through the pregnancy. All of these things make a big difference. And I probably know it seems like, why would that make a difference? But it actually does. There is a way to minimize the hair loss, keep it under control, so to say. You can use different kinds of treatments, but as long as you don't get to the bottom of it, it's just gonna keep on coming back. This probably wasn't that long of a video, and I really hope it made sense in any way. If you do have any questions, I feel like I went into it as much as I possibly could, but there's a lot of what ifs and a lot of things you need to check personally. So yeah, if you do have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content.